Thought creates reality, and we're all connected. This is the basics of what a human being is. You've lost it, you've been misguided, you went to the wrong school, so now you have to relearn that. We're all been at the wrong school and we have to relearn. And they know that this world as we know it, and as I knew it, to be false in every single way. And we do not understand how it actually works. Watch every single movie, particularly science fiction or fantastic ones. The science that you think doesn't exist, it's all there showing you. That is the real world. Every movie is showing you the truth. This is how the trick works. They show you the truth, but it's shown in a way that you don't see it as truth. All there, watch it. This is why I say it's a mastermind mind game. It's only when you start to see the cracks and wake up just a little bit, then you realise that you're up against a mastermind, genius, devil, Satan type entity. These are the words that I use because it is anti-live, it is anti-life. Evil, the word backwards is live, is anti-live for the human. I'm in the Matrix, it's a mind game. The Archon God is an entity, the controlling force of the Matrix. These are not human groups, of course. Humans mainly act in the Matrix, so they will take their instructions from their God or their entity. There appear to be no actual Godhead, even though this world is definitely ruled by a real entity, an entity that uses technology and every bit of knowledge and the way the world works to their advantage, where they can completely manipulate the Matrix and completely control it. It's their Matrix, you know, and this, you would have to have understanding of how everything works in a scientific way and in supernatural ways and in technical ways, and that's my information. This is the trick of this world, and the Matrix, which controls everything, is that we do not choose. We go into something negative without knowing it, presented in a way we don't see it as negative. I see this all the time. Sometimes you're making a choice and you think you're making a positive choice. You think you're making a choice that applies to yourself and what you would consider to be yourself, good things about yourself. There is very dark sides to some of these positive choices. The Matrix will seduce you, trap you, control you, direct you in ways that you will not be aware of. We are all been there. We've all done that. I could have done it just yesterday, even after being a little bit aware. Bluntly, we do not have any power at all in our world in that sense, in the sense that we have given our mind over to it. Literally, physically, some people will become aware that the Matrix is closing them down. Most people are not aware of this. When the Matrix tries to close you down, and does close you down, then you become aware much more of the Matrix, that it has total control, literally, of you in every single way. Physically, mentally, psychologically, every single aspect. This is hard for most people to comprehend. And it's hard for most people to accept, a bit like in the movie The Matrix. That's why I mentioned that movie, because in that, the fellow wants to know the truth. He's searching for the truth. He knows the Matrix exists in a way, but he doesn't understand how deep the Matrix is and how all-encompassing it is and how there is no way out and how it manipulates every aspect of every human being's life. Now, this is not how it always has been, but it has gradually got more and more that way. It's a total setup. It's a total, as I've said before, a total video game, a total setup video game. Even when you're making a free choice, you will think that is a free choice, but in reality you will be maneuvered into making the choice that the Matrix wants you to make. Our thought creates reality, but we are totally manipulated and maneuvered by the Matrix because they know what your every thought is. They know how to manipulate your thinking and your thoughts to create the reality they want. And that it has to be of a low frequency for the Matrix to keep going. This is a low frequency Matrix. It does not welcome or want anything that goes past a certain height in the frequency, and it certainly doesn't want high frequency individuals or humans. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, but I would change that to, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed God is God. We do not see anything. Most of us can't see the Matrix, and even I've took a lifetime to even see glimpses of it. You know, when it's too late type of thing, when the Matrix is into a lockdown mode than what it's ever been in its entire history. All movies tell the truth. All movies tell what the reality is. Not the reality we see, but what the reality is. You are the suppressed, or you are the servant to the master. That does not necessarily mean that the master is better than you. The master has merely defeated you because you did not develop your abilities in order to hold your own in that battle. Because humans in particular, and maybe many others for all I know, play them at their own game. Humans never play their own game. Humans have many aces in the game of cards, but they don't play them. They don't know they have the aces. They play according to the rules that are set down for them. They don't know that they can break the rules. They don't know that there should be no rules for them. They don't know that at their own level of development, at a spiritual level, that once they get to a high spiritual level, then they are also endowed with many physical gifts, many physical abilities that they would not comprehend, that they would not dream could be possible for them. And therefore, at that level, the gods and their masters would probably not appear to be the same way. They would see them in a different light. But that doesn't happen because we are very much trapped in the physical, limited world that we're in, and we have not developed ourselves. We're kind of like, we're happy prisoners. We're like prisoners that, some prisoners, they spend their whole life in jail. And then when they're let out, they want to go back to jail because it's comfortable, it's safe. The real world becomes too scary. And this is a bit like I think we are with the Matrix. I know this is true for myself even. It's like even when you start to get the knowledge and realise that it's all a setup and that it's that. So the Matrix, as ugly as what it is, as negative as what it is, it's our home and it's all we know. And so we are frightened, most of us, to actually want to even see beyond the Matrix. Even Neo in that movie, when he found out what the Matrix was after he was seeking to find out what it was. He was like, let me out of here, I don't want to know this now. It was too much for him because, he could not stand realising how his reality really was, that he was really trapped in this prison bubble. We as humans have gradually, over the years and years and years, allowed this to be more and more, but we allow it because we're not aware of it. If we could see that big picture of how everything is orchestrated and how we are not meant to really rise up and be at a higher vibrational level. Now, you might say to me, well, look, some people do seem to be happy. Some people do seem to have it all, or this or that. And that is part of the trap too. To envy others that appear to have it all, that makes you in low vibration. Because you think it's possible to be happy, you see, in the Matrix. You see other people and you say, they've got this, they've got that, they seem to be happy, they seem to be having a good time. If you're not living in a world where you have any control over the external forces around you, then it's going to be very hard for you to have control over your vibration. Because, if someone comes and punches you in the face, it's going to be very hard for you to smile and raise your vibration up to a high level to where then everyone else is feeling good. This is how the Matrix works. Most of the movies that I'm going to mention, I personally can't tolerate most of them. I haven't even seen all of them. And none of them are positive movies, only if you take them as a truth and an educational type thing almost. It's only to say, hey, this is the reality, this is showing us what the world is, how it operates, how the Matrix sees us and treats us. See, we are fighting our own battles here on earth amongst one another. We feed the gods, we fight the battles amongst ourselves when we fight one another, as we're doing all the time. The ones that we think where we've got a reasonable lifestyle, we're mainly fighting mental battles, personal battles, but they are just as negative and keep the frequency of this world and the whole Matrix down low. And how we behave in the Matrix, make sure that the Matrix keeps going by our behaviour one way or the other. And our lack of awareness of the Matrix, that is the main problem, because if you're aware of it, then you will make your decisions differently, and you'll probably, but even then it will be hard, because the Matrix will know this, and the Matrix sets up things. Even being aware, you still have to play in the Matrix. And you might not want to fight. You might not want to argue with someone. You might not want to fight a battle. But it may be thrown at you. And this is the difficulty. This is the game of the Matrix, the mind games of it. Even to fight physically, you have to mentally think a certain way, as you know. You don't just automatically do anything. It all starts in the mind. Anyway, okay, we have the Matrix. There's three things. There's three sequels. There's the first Matrix. The first Matrix movie, I think they said that tells you what the Matrix is. That's what the main character is looking for. He wants to know, what is the Matrix? What does it entail? How does it operate? The second movie tends to, I think, go more into what your position is in the Matrix, like how the Matrix controls you, that type of thing, that sort of thing. And then the final one, of course, is how to get out of the Matrix, which is the main thing. But then again, you'd have to probably understand how you are controlled in it and what it actually is before you have a chance to get out. But getting out is still the aim, because you don't want to be a prisoner that wants to stay in the jail. You don't want to say, well, look, I'm used to it, I'm familiar with it, I don't know what's outside of it, I have no skills for that because I've been kept in the dark. You still, the aim is still how to get out of it. But some would not want to. So that's a choice there again. But I always say an informed choice. Most of us are not having an informed choice. Like, you want to know what it really is, where it's headed, what its whole thing is, in order to make that informed choice. And this is the difficulty, is finding out what it really is all about. Even I, still missing some bits. You learn something all the time. And it does become very, it just becomes very wearing in the sense that it is all encompassing. That's probably the thing. It's not just one thing, it's everything. There's no room to move at all, really. There's no, not at all. And that's what a lot of people, that's why most people can't buy it or believe it, shall we say, because it's too much. If it was just a few things, people can see there's a few problems. They can see a few control systems, they can see a bit of this or that, but they don't realise that they are total pawns in this world. We are total pawns. We are manipulated and controlled at every single level. And the future, if we don't make different choices, or at least make an informed choice, as I say, you're talking about much more of this, because we will not have any choice over the physical at all. I'm not talking, or the mental. Once you allow a system to take you over completely, particularly at a technological level. Mainly technology is the big, the final closure for human beings, I feel, because that is not the way out, that is the way further in, because technology confines, technology restricts, particularly for a human, because it is not part of our makeup. It is, it's limited for human beings, very limited for human beings. Now, as I've said before, don't think that because you can go outside of the Earth even that means you're not confined. This matrix goes beyond the Earth. It's all a setup, it's all part of the matrix. We just haven't got that far. We will only do that when the matrix decides it is useful for the matrix. See? So this is how it works. We do not decide anything. No human on this planet decides how the matrix goes. It just does not happen. It's all decided by the other beings. The God entity and his minions, the gods fight, there again, the Matrix, they live, that movie, they live, the aliens live, we sleep. That's what it says in the movie. We live, they sleep. They is us, we sleep, they live. We should be living too, but we're not, we're asleep. We merely are their conveniences, the gods' conveniences. That's how this matrix works. That's the matrix, and that's they live. Then we have Blade Runner, where you have the different types of humans, because the matrix has advanced so much that they can make different beings, and the different beings don't know whether they're human or not. They assume they're human, I suppose, at least in the movie, and so they could be. They, like we do in our reality, we defeat our fellow human beings. We kill our fellow human beings. Humans kill humans. Replicants kill replicants, but humans think they kill replicants. It's in the movie, this is, okay? But basically, most of it is, yes, part of the matrix, so they're maneuvered to kill what they're programmed to kill, shall we say. And, you might think you're killing some other being, but you're probably killing your own kind. This is the game of the Matrix in the Blade Runner movie. The Body Snatcher movie, that's an old movie, but they've had a few versions, I believe. That's where other beings take over the human form. Like I could be sitting here now and I could be, the Body Snatcher could be inside of me, and I appear to be the same, but I'm basically not myself anymore. My body has been taken over. That's the Body Snatcher. And in that particular movie, as I've said before, the husband finds out that his wife has been taken over because he's aware that this has happened to people and is happening, because most humans did not even realise that beings had come and were taking over their bodies. And he destroys his wife because he realises that it's not his wife anymore, that it's, even though it looks like his wife, that it's another being, and that he can't get her back. And he figures that's a fate worse than death because he kills her, and even that surprised me in the movie. But that's the thing, like, if you are taken over by another being or by technology, you cease to exist. So are you better off alive or better off dead. He decided that it was better, that his wife that he loved was better off dead. You know, that was an interesting point anyway. Then you have, I just saw this movie a week or two ago. It's a B movie and I didn't intend to watch it, but the title struck me, so I watched it, Android Rising. And I thought, I'll just see what this is about. Now, that's another, that was a movie that I saw, you know, essentially you had like an android being that looked human, and it was an assassin being, because androids can be programmed to do evidently whatever the god or humans that control the robots or the androids or whatever they are, they can control them and tell them what to do. And something went wrong with the programming to where the android became aware of this, because essentially I suppose an android would not question, and it realised that it was killing. It just became almost conscious or aware for a bit that it was killing, and it didn't know why it was killing, because it was programmed to kill, so it didn't ask questions. And this is like we are. We're often programmed and we don't ask questions. And in our world, if we do ask questions, we're only going to get the program answers back anyway, so then we're going to say, oh, well, then it's okay because the program tells us that it's the good thing to do, because we don't think for ourselves anymore, you know. And this is the way it is. But anyway, the android then became aware that it was an android and that it was programmed to kill people that it didn't know, humans, and that it had been taught to dislike humans. But now it was like, why am I killing the humans? Its program got messed up, and then it basically come to the conclusion, I didn't choose to be an android. I didn't choose to be born, you could say. I didn't choose a human created, or a human scientist or whatever, no doubt in conjunction with the God, created the android. But the android was never asked whether it wanted to come into existence and become an assassin of humans that it didn't even know and whatever. And so it actually decided that, yeah, it was like, I don't want to be an android. I did not ask to come. You created me without my permission. I'm not a true living being. And you programmed me. This is not an existence that I want. So the android decided that it, you know, wanted to be extinct almost, you could say, wanted to die because it was quite willing. In fact, in the end of the movie, it allowed itself to be destroyed in order to help some humans, which previously it was assassinating because it was an android assassin that was programmed to kill. That's basically, it was a female that looked very nice, etc. But anyway, and the last line of the movie was something like, well, it lived like an android, but it died like a human, and so it had a little bit of life just in its last moments, because it did start to think and question what it was doing and what its existence was, which is a human quality, not a robot or a programmed or an artificial intelligent quality. They merely assimilate information and grow on that, you know, and whatever is programmed, or, I mean, you know, there's still a survival instinct going on. This android lost the survival instinct when it became aware of that. But anyway, I'm going on too much and I'm not very good at this, to be honest. See the movie for yourself. I'm sure you'll get more out of it than me. You know, see these movies yourself. The Matrix, They Live, Blade Runner, The Body Snatchers, Android Rising, Prometheus. I have not seen this movie, but I come to the conclusion that that was about the gods becoming extinct and needing humans to extend their life for their survival, which is why they will fight to the death for that, because it's not just about controlling or keeping the Matrix going, it is about their very survival. So humans are in a very precarious position if these things are the case. That was my conclusion, just on, even though I haven't seen the whole thing, because they had advanced so much technologically that they could no longer reproduce naturally. And so they needed technology, and they, you know, probably cloned and all this sort of stuff, which I don't understand naturally. In fact, I don't even want to understand it, but I'm forced to because of the reality. All these things are an offence to a human being in a way, and they should be, but they aren't, because we are being pulled into a technological world. You know, I'm not a religious person. I don't go on saying these things are abominations or whatever, even though I've heard this term in religious texts. But once you start manipulating and playing around with genetics to such an extent that you are a genius, but you're a mad scientist and you don't care what you're creating, and you're creating what we would have called monstrosities in the past, and we think this is fine because it's all in the name of science or in development or technology. It's away from everything. It's taking us all down a death trap, and it is a death trap, literally. Okay, death trap. I think a movie that I have not seen fully, but I've seen a few scenes, but it's too strong for me, Cloud Atlas. Death trap in some of those scenes. Yes. many aspects in that. But if you can take some of these movies, Clockwork Orange, mind control. Well, that's what it's all about. Technology for mind control and psychological mind control. Any mind control. Human beings are totally under mind control. We all are. Every day. They cannot be avoided. The mind parasites, as I said, the archon mind parasites, that's a term that some people use. They infiltrate our mind. They control our actions, and they keep us playing in the matrix. Clockwork Orange. I saw that film once when it came out. I did not choose to. I was dragged to it. Didn't understand it then, hated it, thought it was violent and repulsive. That was just, I'm sure a lot of people did. I shouldn't perhaps be too graphic because I know we have a lot worse now. But I didn't understand it, and I thought, why have they made these films? See, I don't understand why they made A Clockwork Orange. I don't understand why they made Silence of the Lambs, for instance. That's another example, another movie. I wondered why they made them. I didn't fully comprehend them, but I wondered, why did they make them? Well, now, of course, I know, because they say, hey, they show you the truth in all the movies. So that's why they make them, to show you the truth, and to condition you, and to make you think a certain way, or just to show you the truth. And if it's too far-fetched or something, because they have to show us the truth. This is a conclusion I've come to, because otherwise there's no reason for them to make all these movies and to show stuff that doesn't really, it's not happening now, and it actually doesn't keep the matrix going particularly well, because if you expose the matrix, that's not really conducive to keep it going, because the whole idea is for humans not to see the matrix. And if you see the matrix, then, I mean, if everyone saw the matrix would probably, then there would be an honest choice, and probably a lot of people would not want to be a part of it, I would think, and also they would have the ability to change it, or to leave it, or etc., or whatever. There would be choices, and there would be abilities there as a combined force to do this too, whereas as single entities like we are, it's pretty much useless, because the matrix is a huge thing, and it is, so individuals have very little impact on the matrix. It has to be where, as a joint collective, people see it and either choose not to be part of it, or choose certain things. You know what I'm saying? It's like it would be a choice, then an open choice. But while you're playing in the matrix and you only see the tunnel vision parts of it, like I only see what I see outside my door, then I'm really playing in the matrix, and I'm forced to every second. In fact, even seeing the bigger picture, I'm still forced to do that, so it shows you how difficult it is. But if other people saw it too, then there wouldn't be other people around me that would be playing it as much. So they might say, hey, we won't go and pick a fight with someone today. Now, knowing that we are programmed to do this, we might decide to do nothing, and therefore the matrix has a chance then for the frequency to raise, if you follow me. Okay. Eyes Wide Shut, of course, even though I have not seen that whole movie either. But it does show the different, I think it shows personal stuff, but it also, I think, shows aspects of certain religions that govern the world and how they operate, perhaps. And I think that was the thing. And another movie, They Shoot Horses, don't they? The title tells it all, doesn't it? It's a graphic movie. I have seen this years ago. It's an older movie. They shoot horses, don't they? The idea being that, like the fellow that shot his wife because she was taken over by another being that was aggressive and out to hurt human beings, whereas his wife was a loving person that that was totally different, and he decided to shoot his wife because he knew it wasn't his wife anymore, and that as much as he still looked like his wife, if he let her go, she would probably destroy him and everyone else given a chance. Now, They Shoot Horses, don't they, is like that in the sense that, like the title says, if someone or something is in great pain, perhaps it is kinder to shoot them or get rid of them. And in that movie, the people that were in that were, like we all are in this matrix, striving to get ahead of it, striving to make a better life, striving to find something good in the matrix, a good life. But in They Shoot Horses, don't they? And this is what this movie was showing, was that they were chasing a dream, but they never had any hope of finding that dream. It was a setup. The competition and the thing that was in that movie was a total setup. It was not designed to make for happiness, for people to win and to make a happy life. It was designed to feed off negative energy, low frequency. And that's why at the end of it, the girl was asked her friend to shoot her, because she realised it was futile. She thought that she had a chance to get out of the matrix. She thought she had a chance to make a better life in the matrix. But it was all a delusion, a dream, because it was a setup, as the matrix is. and so she asked her boyfriend or her friend to shoot her because, you know, she saw there was no hope, and there wasn't. And that's essentially what that movie is showing, I think, really. And there again, watch it if you can. If you can stand these movies, they're not pleasant movies. They're negative movies. I would say that every movie that I've mentioned here has a negative connotation. Okay, you might say, well, The Matrix, it ended, well, they make out that The Matrix can be exposed and changed in the Matrix movie, so maybe that's not, but it isn't happening in the real world, so, but it is showing that it could happen, but that's only if. Yes, the Matrix, if everyone is unplugged from the Matrix, if everyone sees the Matrix, that's the whole purpose of those movies, you know, but everyone is plugged in, and even when you see it, you'll be unplugged all right, but the Matrix knows that you can see it, so you won't be allowed to be too happy in the Matrix, because, you know, like I say, if frequency rises, the Matrix automatically unplugs, I think, you see. Everyone's frequency rises, everyone automatically gets unplugged. The same way in the They Live movie, where when the towers were pulled down, when the source of the technical control system was blown out by the main fella, then all of a sudden everyone could see the reality of the Matrix. They could see the negative beings that were around them. They could see the mind manipulation. They could see the fakeness of the world that they lived. It became clear because the technology was deceiving them and keeping them in the Matrix. Literally, that's a very simple thing to the They Live movie. But anyway, I've rambled on and no doubt made no sense as usual, but I think I do this just to get it off my chest because I always think, you know, you never know if you're going to be here tomorrow, and but I would recommend for anyone that's listening to watch all those movies and many, many more, and just bear in mind that every time you watch a movie, I'll mention those movies again because I wrote them down, but there's many more I could mention, but I have not seen every movie. I don't watch newer movies much. The Matrix, the basis of what our reality is. They Live, another basis of what our reality really is. Blade Runner, a reality of what things are to a large extent. Body Snatchers, same thing. Android Rising, very similar to Blade Runner and Body Snatchers in the sense that you're talking about non-human type things. Prometheus, the future of where the Matrix wants to take mankind, to use humans to save the god beings or at least their followers or their minions from extinction because they have technologically technologically stop themselves from being able to procreate and to keep their race going. I'm trying to find the words, I'm sorry if I'm leaving it. I wish I could put it better, but I don't. So they need humans for that future, but that means that will be at our expense though, because then we will be tied to them even more and pushed further into the Matrix. I would think that would be how it would have to work, because it won't be like they're not going to give humans equal status with the gods. That's been the whole thing all along. The gods do not want humans to have equal status with them. No, because they are the gods, and they are, you know, they like being gods. They're not like gods that plant us here and then go away and leave us to evolve naturally. That was how I believe we originally started. You know, before intervention, before the gods came. You know, I believe that we were here on our own, humans that is, and we were meant to evolve naturally, as I said, with all living things. And we are part of nature. They are living things connected to us. We enhance them, they enhance us. And they, my personal belief is that all the abilities that all the animals have, all the separate wonderful abilities, like if you take any individual animal, you usually find that they have one fantastic thing, like a bird can fly, we can't fly. Some animals can jump vast distances, some animals can see better, other animals can smell things, they can do look at all the different animals, they all have different abilities. Humans are meant to have all those abilities and more. And they're in sync with the animals and in the life force of everything that is, every living thing that is on this world. And instead, of course, the Matrix is designed to be technical, the opposite. It devastates the natural thing, which is our thing to help us wake up and to see the Matrix, I believe. This is why we have gone technologically. So we've gone away from nature. Nature wakes us up. Nature brings us back into our own, to where we can evolve and be the best and have all the abilities that the animals have. And many more. But instead we go for technology. That is the Matrix. The Matrix is ruled by technology, and the beings that rule the Matrix, they are technological beings, they like technology, that is their development. They are advanced at that huge level. But as you can see, as I've said before with these movies, Prometheus, they've technologicalized themselves to such an extent that they can't breed anymore, that they're going extinct. You know, even though they do live for massive amounts of time, but eventually even that, they're not immortal. Spiritual beings are immortal, they never die, but they can become trapped. And if you become trapped, and you allow yourself to be taken over, and your spirit is squashed, and all your abilities are squashed, and you're totally nothing in the matrix, where you're just maneuvered around like a pawn, then you're as good as dead. And that is, but the beings, they can then extend their lot. So it's a trade-off that we're making, but we don't know we're making it, I don't think. But the movies are showing us this. Clockwork Orange, all about that, the mind control. You control humans by their mind. We have been controlled and limited by our mind from the beginning, because if we don't know what we are, we don't know what we're capable of, we don't know what the real world is, we don't even know we are in a matrix. Of course, we are, naturally at a total disadvantage and at a total loss. And, we are, the one-eyed God is king, while in the land of the blind, and we're the blind. We have been made blind. Eyes wide shut, same thing, the title speaks for itself. Humans, eyes wide shut. And they like that, and we are. And it's essential, and if you don't, because the matrix now has full control, if you don't keep your eyes wide shut, then it's not going to be such a pleasant time anyway, so then you will only contribute to negativity anyway, because your frequency will be low, but that's all part of the game. They shoot horses, don't they? Yes, if it gets really bad, and you realise the matrix and stuff, is it not more humane to leave it? But we have been conditioned to keep fighting and to keep surviving, fighting a battle that can't be won, because we're used to surviving. We're used to survival mode. We're conditioned for survival mode. We think that's living. We never get to the point where we say, hey, is this really living? If there's really no hope, and if we are in a matrix and we are not aware of it, and we're not trying to maneuver it a little bit, and we don't even know who our God is, and that's what that movement is. Flower Atlas, another negative one, negative, even though I haven't seen it, but negative aspects of it. Just see it anyway, because it shows, to some extent, in the scenes that I've seen, how this world operates too. Also, how things go, how some people control a lot, and how we're manipulated into thinking all sorts of things, and that sometimes even when we think we are headed towards a better future, we're actually headed towards our demise, the opposite. So we do have to be very careful to observe as much as we can, and to be aware. Silence of the Lambs, the movie that I added, that movie is just so. That just shows, I think, how some people in the world actually think and operate. And it glamorises, I think, personally, when I think of it, because that movie got a lot of awards and a lot of good acting. I say there is no good acting in Silence of the Lambs. I say there's anything good about the movie. I found it a negative movie, I found the acting poor, and I found the characters very misleading. All the characters in it, I would say, have nothing but a negative influence on reality. And essentially showing human beings that they're not human, or that they can, and that it's okay to not be human. By that I mean to do things that humans should not really do and would not do if they were in their natural state. A kind of acceptance of that, making villains, heroes, that type of thing. But that was just my view of it when I saw it, and that was years ago. And I thought, also I didn't understand it fully, all the aspects of it, because it was a very dark, very depraved type of thing, we have to say, very depraved to say the least. But there are a lot of people on this world that are depraved and that do buy into all that negative type of ritualistic type of behaviour. And I don't know why they do this, or where they've got it from, but I would say that movies like that condition people to think that it's okay. And that was what I essentially wondered with quite a few of the movies that I mentioned when I did see them. At the time I did say to myself, why did they make this movie? What is the point of this movie? Why are they showing this? Like, does it make people feel good? Is it a benefit to humans? And I thought it can't possibly be. And yet these are Academy Award very popular movies. So I'm guessing that, like I've said before, they show the truth, but they also have influence with movies and music and all this sort of stuff. So it's a double thing that I think while you're watching them, I know at the time I did not fully comprehend that till right now, but very negative, very misleading, very anti-human, I would say. But as I've said before, these movies show the truth, so these things are part of the matrix and part of the reality. But I would say that in showing them in movies, that has an influence, and that is because if these things already go on and some people are indulging, that is something that you might not be able to stop. But if other people see it in a movie and it hadn't occurred to them before, this is not, this to me is like, that's not what people watch a movie for. It should make people feel better.
None of these movies make people feel better or raise the vibration. All they do is make them think about things that they hadn't thought about before. It tricks their mind into thinking of negative things that they wouldn't have naturally thought of. But what I will say is, as I've said before, all these movies show truth. So, as unpleasant as some of them are to actually view, if you are looking for the truth, yes, unfortunately, the truth is in all those movies. They are the reality. It might not be under your nose, but they are in your reality. And at some point, you will become aware of this, and at some point you might even see it. Because as the Matrix, the Matrix also is exposing itself more now too. But instead of making people go against the Matrix because it's exposing, it is conditioning people to accept the Matrix. You know, from what I can see. Because people are not offended by what they would have been offended by a few years back. So that tells me that they are moving with the Matrix. They're not opposing the Matrix. They're not trying to get the Matrix back into balance. They're going with the negative. They're the positive here, negative here. They're going right to the extreme negative, and that's the Matrix. You know, pulling them that way. Whereas they should be trying to move it to the centre at least. You know, it's probably a pipe dream to expect it to go to the positive completely, but you know, the fact that we look at these movies and things now and say, oh, we don't come out and say, oh, well, maybe some people do, but we don't actually. We seem to be accepting a lot of this as normal, I would say, and it is normal for some people. This is the bottom line truth. It has to be, because otherwise it wouldn't be shown in the movies. But you know, just because I'm not seeing it right in front of me, every single thing of this, I'm seeing some of it, but I might not be seeing it as graphic. Well, you know, I might be seeing some things graphically, but not every single thing that's in those movies. That does not mean that it's not happening, and that it doesn't mean that one day we might not see it all graphic. But that will only be when you can't get rid of it or you can't change it. It's important to make the choices, to see the truth now, and then to say, do we want to accept this? Do, you know, in other words, instead of with eyes wide shut, we need to have eyes wide open and then make the choice. You know, and say, and realise that it is all a seduction too. That you can glamorise things that are not glamorous in a movie and even in reality if you get conditioned enough to it. And this is what the Matrix does, I think, because you know, a lot of things that were not acceptable even in the past are now acceptable, and we think that is advancement. We think that what was ugly is now glamorous, you could say. We glamorise all these things in the movies. We don't say, hey, wow, this is maybe not such a good idea, or maybe, you know, we don't have that. Whereas in the past, even we might have said, well, look, that's an interesting movie, and it's glamorous in a movie, but I wouldn't want it in my reality. Whereas we're saying, hey, yeah, that's glamorous in a movie. All this technology is glamorous in a movie. Yes, it would be good in my reality. I don't think so. That's just my view. I would have to say, no, it would not be glamorous in your reality. A movie is not the same as in your reality, but also it takes from the power. Because that is not where you, to me, it's all about the truth that we are becoming less instead of more by all this. That's how I would see it, but that's just because that's how I look at it. But, also, all these things, in the end, they become so confusing. See, even with all these movies, if you watch them, you'll probably say, hey, I can't buy any of that, I don't want any of that, like Neo in the Matrix, get me out of here. Because the truth, because we've let things go so far in this reality, and we're so separated from the truth. When we see the truth, it's too much, because all these movies, it's too much. It's not just one thing. It's not like saying, oh, yeah, we live in a matrix, and maybe we're a little bit mind controlled, maybe we're a little bit too consumer, maybe we're a little bit that. No. See, this is the trouble, and we sort of say, well, we can accept that, maybe we can get our mind around that, maybe we can say no to some of these things. But in reality, it's gone so much further than that. It is, yes, a Clockwork Orange, where you're talking about total mind control. It's not just eyes wide shut where you're told to ignore these things, and that some things are acceptable because maybe it's a better thing down the track, or this or that. I'm sure different people are told different reasons why everything is okay, and why it is good for us to keep going down this negative path. But if you look at all these movies, and you use a little bit of your own thinking, you might say, well, look, gee, it's too much to believe. But, you know, like, we are now in the thick of it. We've let it go too far, and we're still letting it go too far. I say, if you have doubts about something, it should be stopped. You should take a breather, back off, get away from all that. Of course, I can't do it. If I could do it, I could rejuvenate myself for a bit. But this is what I'm saying. This is what really is essential. We need to go back and take a different path, because we're on the wrong path. That's if you take notice of all these movies, and the movies, I believe, are showing us that. It's not like the movies actually even, they glamorise certain things, sure, but they're still showing you the truth. So it's up to you whether you want to say, oh, well, that's just a movie, and oh, yes, that was naughty, but it's very glamorous, so it's okay. Or, oh, yeah, maybe we had a little bit of mind control, but it's not like we're still not free. You know, so And yeah, we have systems in place in our world, so we're in a little bit of a matrix, but no, it's not an all-encompassing matrix that we have no control over, and that is even controlled by a God that we have never actually even seen, most of us. You know, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed God is king. And, you know, he's quite prepared to lose an eye if he can win the battle. The prize is great. And what is the prize? On this earth, every living thing is the prize. That is the victory. You'd say, why? Well, gods need humans. They're not self-sufficient. You probably say, well, a god shouldn't need anything because a god creates. Well, no, not all gods are like that. These gods do not. They need humans. There's an exchange. But it's an exchange that most humans are not even aware of. They don't know that they're exchanging negative energy and low frequency to keep the god's matrix going and to feed the god entity. This is not something that we're all aware of. It goes on a daily basis. The god has no problem with that. It's his survival or ours. The prize is every living thing. The prize is there's great acclaim to the god that can say that it defeated potentially the most advanced beings that could have been in the universe, humans. To say we are technological beings, we defeated and destroyed the greatest spiritual beings that could have surpassed all, and we controlled, dominated, had victory over them and reduced them to technological useless nothings. Therefore we are the gods. We may be the one-eyed God, but we are the gods of all if we can accomplish that.